Good morning. This is Northern Light for Thursday, July 13th. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Todd Moe.
Many Vermonters spent Wednesday assessing the fallout from this week's devastating flood, and the damage in downtown Montpelier is particularly severe.
All of our kitchen equipment is turned over and on the other side of the room, and there's stuff everywhere. It looks like a really intense episode of one of those hoarder shows.
Career and educational centers in the North Country have seen a big bump in enrollment. Parents and teachers say that's because there's money to be made in the trades.
The trades need to be inside the high schools, so that way they can have a more variety of knowing that there's other options out there besides just sitting at a table or a desk. This is something that's hard skill and it's hands-on, and as long as they have good teachers, they can go anywhere.
And the Village of Tupper Lake's longtime mayor has dropped out of the race for re-election. And we'll take a look at a recent acquisition at the Hyde in Glens Falls, another Rembrandt to round out their collection. All of that and more is coming up on Northern Light. Stick with us.
Broadcast of Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio is supported by AdirondackExplorer.com and AdirondackAlmanac.com, presenting daily updated news on public policy, environmental issues, and local communities in the Adirondack Park. And by St. Lawrence Health, whose affiliation with Rochester Regional Health means more patient access to specialty care. stlawrencehealthsystem.org.
This is Northern Light. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Todd Moe. Many Vermonters spent yesterday assessing the fallout from this week's devastating flood, and the damage in downtown Montpelier is particularly severe. The capital city experiences worst flooding in living memory. And as Vermont Public's Peter Hirschfeld reports, many businesses and residents aren't sure when or if they'll be able to recover.
The water was mostly gone from city streets in downtown Montpelier by Wednesday morning, replaced by a thick layer of sludge that smelled like a mixture of sewage and wet mushrooms. Industrial cleanup equipment hummed in the background as business owners like Maya Bofa returned to their establishments for the first time since the Winooski River crested its banks on Monday afternoon.
Yeah, you want to see my salon? See my store too over there. Go see my salon. Trash. The water was up to here.
Bofa points to a black arrow she drew on the wall to mark the high water spot. It's about 2 feet above a plaque commemorating peak water levels during the historic flood of 1992. She knew the flood was coming and tried to prepare.
We raised some stuff up, but we didn't expect it to be this high.
And much of the equipment at the salon she's owned for 9.5 years, called Ondine, is a total loss. Like a lot of business owners here, Bofa's not sure what's next.
It seems like some of the stores, this is just too much, and we may be done. I'm kind of figuring that one out.
Montpelier is regularly named one of the best small downtowns in the United States by publications like USA Today and Travel and Leisure. And the small, independently owned businesses that line the downtown lend this place its charm. Many restaurants and stores had only just recovered from the devastating effects of COVID. Katie Trouts is the executive director of a local business association called Montpelier Alive. She says this latest hit may be too powerful a blow for many.
There are many businesses that have recently expanded and invested a lot in their expansion or their opening of new business, and it's just really sad to see the possibility of them not recouping that and recovering after this.
There is one thing working in business's favor right now, and that's the prospect of free labor. Trout says Montpelier Alive has fielded requests from more than 1,000 people wanting to volunteer. Wes Hamilton co-founded a popular restaurant called Three Penny Tap Room in 2009. He was taking a smoke break outside the entrance on Wednesday morning.
All of our kitchen equipment is turned over and on the other side of the room, and There's stuff everywhere. It looks like a really intense episode of one of those hoarder shows.
As floodwaters peaked on Tuesday, Hamilton says he wasn't sure about the future of Threepenny. By Wednesday afternoon, he was feeling more optimistic, thanks in part to the scores of people who've reached out to offer assistance.
The outpouring of people saying they're ready and willing to help with whatever we need is tremendous. So, one way or another, we'll get it done.
The downtown is a residential area as well, so businesses aren't the only ones reeling from the flood. Ian and Billy Joe Quinlan have lived in an apartment on Elm Street for the last 14 years. By 10 or so Tuesday morning, there were 2 feet of water on their ground floor.
We don't have renter's insurance, so we're just going to have to look into FEMA and any kind of assistance programs that are coming out, but it's not like it's easy to find.
The Quinlans will live across town with Ian's mother until they're able to return to their home. But they have no idea when that'll be. And like so many residents of this hard-hit city, it's unclear when or if things will return to normal. For Vermont Public, I'm Peter Hirschfeld.
Those heavy rains and flooding hit parts of New York State, too, and it's underscored the vulnerability of the state's public transportation system. As WXXI's Raquel Stephen reports, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand wants to tap $300 million to reinforce it.
In an effort towards making these systems more resilient, U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is pushing to pass the Resilient Transit Act.
This flooding has been so devastating for people across our state. And at the same time, it is also jeopardizing the roads, bridges, and transit systems that so many of our New York residents rely on.
Gillibrand says the funds exclusive to this bill will help prepare public transportation systems to withstand severe weather events before they occur.
Every year, these systems are becoming more and more susceptible to the effects of flooding, extreme heat, tropical storms, and hurricanes. And more than 10 years since Superstorm Sandy, our transit systems are still under-equipped to address the growing threat of climate change.
If passed, the legislation would authorize $300 million towards improvement grants per fiscal year from 2024 to 2027. Gillibrand says applications are now open to secure a portion of the money. In Rochester, I'm Raquel Stephen for North Country Public Radio.
The Village of Tupper Lake's longtime mayor has dropped out of the race for re-election. Paul Maroon has held the office for 13 years. He told the Adirondack Daily Enterprise that it was an extremely difficult decision not to run for another term, but he said he doesn't think being mayor is best for his personal life and wants to leave on a, quote, good note. Maroon lost the Republican Party nomination for mayor to town councilwoman Mary Fontana last month. She's currently the only candidate in the race. Maroon will remain in office until the end of November.
Watertown approved plans for a 120-unit affordable housing project this week. According to the Watertown Daily Times, the project was proposed by DePaul Properties, a developer based out of Rochester. They still need the okay from the Zoning Board of Appeals in order to move forward. DePaul Properties is requesting a variance for the number of windows needed on the first floor. The project will be built across from the Watertown Post Office. It'll have a mix of studio, one-bedroom, and two-bedroom apartments.
A bridge in Clinton County is closed until the fall while it undergoes major rehabilitation. The Carpenter's Flats Bridge in Peru carries U.S. Route 9 over the Ausable River. Route 9 is a major north-south route in New York that runs from the town of Champlain to Delaware. According to the Plattsburgh Press-Republican newspaper, a $6.2 million project will raise the bridge by 3.5 feet. The goals are to lessen the impact of ice jams, reduce flooding, and improve safety. The paper reports that the Carpenter's Flats Bridge was originally built in 1941. It was previously rehabilitated almost 30 years ago.
You're listening to Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. It's 10 minutes past 8. Good morning, I'm Todd Moe.
And I'm Monica Sandreski. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, we'll head to the Hyde Collection to hear about one of their recent acquisitions, a new Rembrandt. That and more is coming up on Northern Light. Stick with us.
Music out of Bloomingdale. This is Eric Pasternak, and you can hear more of Eric's music on our website. Check out the Underscore Project online at ncpr.org/underscore. Northern Light is supported by Gray & Gray & Associates, CPAs and accounting and financial services firm in Northern New York with offices in Canton, Potsdam, and Spring Hill, Florida. GrayCPAS.com. And by Rickard Environmental Associates, a New York State licensed, woman-owned and operated engineering firm in Keene, helping to maintain environmental compliance in the Adirondacks for 3 decades. Learn more at rickardenvironmental.com.
Over the last few years, there's been a significant increase in the number of students enrolling in career and technical education classes. Those are 2-year BOCES programs that train high school juniors and seniors in a trade or profession like automotive technology, culinary arts, and building trades. Educators say it's because students and their families are seeking alternatives to traditional 4-year colleges, and there's money to be made in the trades. Amy Feiereisel reports.
It's completion day at the Salmon River School District.
From Malone Central School District, the 2-year completion certificate and a technical endorsement, Brandon Marlowe.
It's essentially graduation for the welding and HVAC programs here. About 30 students walk across the gymnasium, diplomas and cheering parents at hand. Afterwards, families stream towards one another. They hug and snap pictures. 18-year-old Mackenzie Dupra, a welding student, is beaming. She found out during the ceremony that she was the valedictorian in her class.
Surprising. I wasn't expecting it. It's pretty nice.
You had no idea?
I had no idea. Absolutely no idea.
Dupra says she's obsessed with welding.
When you're running a bead or you're doing anything welding, it just like your mind slows down and you're just totally focusing on the art of it.
Dupra was interested in science earlier in high school and thought that might be her path. Then she stumbled on welding through her father, Matt Dupra, who welds for fun.
She wanted to learn, and we just grabbed a bunch of pieces of metal, and I let her go at it, and she did a phenomenal job. She now teaches me, so I have a teacher at home now.
Dupra will be attending Alfred State College for an associate's degree in welding technology. She says this is what she wants to do with her life. Her mother, April Dupra, says she couldn't be prouder, and she's so glad the BOCES programs exist.
The trades need to be inside the high schools, so that way they can have a more variety of knowing that there's other options out there besides just sitting at a table or a desk. And this is something that's hard skill, and it's hands-on, and as long as they have good teachers, they can go anywhere.
This is a sentiment that more and more families are sharing. Statewide, enrollment in BOCES career and technical programs has increased by about 10% over the last 5 years. It's been even more dramatic here in the North Country, with enrollment increasing by 20 to 25%. Stephen Todd is the district superintendent of the Jefferson Lewis BOCES. He says historically, they've had between 1,000 and 1,100 students in their CTE programs.
Last year, it went up to 1,150. This current year, 1,250. And we've got enrollments coming for next year, and it's more like 1,350.
They're expanding lots of programs, building new spaces. He says they've seen the most growth in the traditional trades.
Welding, carpentry, electrical wiring. These programs have experienced massive growth. We're in Watertown, we're doubling the size of our welding and electrical programs, adding a second section of each because of the extreme demand that we've seen.
That demand is coming straight from the workforce shortage, says Tawny French, the HVAC teacher at Salmon River. It was his students that got their diplomas earlier.
We're seeing a big change toward the trades.
We're in his classroom, a high-ceilinged shop.
They're so short-handed, and the pay is high enough now. We're having contractors come to us, and they're recruiting right out of the seats.
And they're offering good money. The Carpenters Union offers $20 an hour to start, healthcare, a pension. Entry-level welders can expect $25 an hour. That's exciting to lots of students, says Heather Gagne, the Franklin Essex Hamilton BOCES guidance counselor.
Students are able to find that they can work locally if they want to. They don't have to move away to be able to support themselves in a manner that they want and then be happy in a job.
She says a 4-year college degree is no longer seen as the only path towards success. And Gagne says she sees many students that struggle in traditional classes blossom when they get into a hands-on class. The rising cost of college and student debt also factors in.
And so students are starting to look at having $24,000, $25,000 a year, and that's for a state school. And if you really don't know what you want to go for, that's a lot of money to spend if you're unsure.
But it's not just career or college, says Gagne. Lots of students choose both, like 18-year-old Caleb Boykin from St. Regis Falls. He gives me a tour of the HVAC shop.
These are all boilers right here. This is wall hung. This is actually the one I worked on, and I did with a couple of friends of mine.
Boykin was actually recruited by a construction company in March. Through his senior spring, he worked 3 hours each day after school.
I work for a company called Adirondack Classic Designs out of Tupper Lake. I've wired an entire camp that's worth $1.2 million right now.
Boykin will be getting his associate's degree at SUNY Canton, and he plans to keep working while he studies. I ask if he'll miss high school.
Not really. I'm ready to get right into the work field.
Why are you ready to get into the work field?
It's just I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go get into the real world, experience it, and just have fun.
Boykin's passion is music to his teachers' ears. Excitement for the future, past high school, is exactly what they want for their students. Amy Feiereisel, North Country Public Radio at Salmon River Central School District.
You're listening to Northern Light on North Country Public Radio. I'm Todd Moe.
And I'm Monica Sandreski. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll hear about a few of the events going on throughout the region. Then stick around after the show for Bird Note. Why do owls bob their heads? We'll find out more coming up at 8:42. But first, Todd has a look at the weather for us.
We have more rain in the forecast today, tomorrow, and probably through the weekend as well, with scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Gusty winds along eastern Lake Ontario, gusts up to 40 miles per hour, and highs ranging from the upper 70s in some of the higher elevations of the Adirondacks to the mid to upper 80s in places like Lake George and Glens Falls. Today, winds out of the east. Partly cloudy, scattered showers, thunderstorms tonight as well, a low around 60, and then tomorrow about a 60% chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms, highs near 80. Saturday and Sunday, 40 to 50% chance of scattered rain with highs upper 70s, low 80s. Right now in Canton, showers, 64 degrees.
The majority of the art at the Hyde Collection in Glens Falls was collected by museum founders Charlotte and Lewis Hyde. But the curators continue to acquire new works to expand and diversify the museum's collection. This summer, they're displaying a group of 10 recent acquisitions. And throughout the summer and spring on Northern Light, we've been hearing from exhibit curator Bryn Schockmel about a few of the pieces. Today, we're looking at a piece by Rembrandt that was donated to the museum from Captain Wilbur E. Dow of the Lake George Steamship Company.
So this Rembrandt, it's an etching, and it's called Ship of Fortune, and it's from 1633. It's one of actually 4 Rembrandts we have in our collection. And then this particular one, you see a boat sailing away at the right side. And then there's a man on a horse in the middle, and the horse is sort of stumbled and falling. And then there's lots and lots of people sort of in the background throughout.
When looking at it, I feel like I can't quite tell what's happening. in this picture?
It's a little bit confusing. So I had to do some research into this. This print was actually used as an illustration in a book that was about seafaring, sort of a history of seafaring that was published in the Netherlands in the 17th century. And so it was like a history from Noah's Ark up to what was present day then. And this particular one is about Octavian, the classical history. So Octavian, who later becomes Caesar Augustus, his defeat of Mark Antony at the Battle of Actium. So it's telling a classical story. Mark Antony is left behind on his horse as Caesar leaves, having been victorious.
How does this fit into that larger collection of Rembrandts that the Hyde collection has?
So our other Rembrandts were acquired by Charlotte and Louis while they were living here. And then this one, of course, is a recent acquisition. We just got this a year or two ago. And I think it fits in really nicely because it's an artist that the Hydes obviously loved. They spent a lot of time seeking out their Rembrandt painting. They really, really wanted a painting by Rembrandt and were so thrilled when they were able to purchase the one that they did. And so I think they would have been very happy to have another Rembrandt in the collection. And the recent acquisitions show it was enjoyable to put together because I think a lot of visitors might not be aware that the Hyde is still growing as a collection, still acquiring more works of art. And we are, and many of them are modern and contemporary works, like the Marc Chagall, the Bellows, the Chihuly, but we also are getting old masters like the Rembrandt. So we're growing in various directions.
Bryn Schockmel is the curator of the Hyde's permanent collection. As she gave light to, the Hyde has also collected works by Marc Chagall, Dale Chihuly, and George Bellows. You can find out more about them in the recent acquisitions exhibit, which is on display through September 17th.
It's 8:22. This is Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. I'm Todd Moe. Check our website and the community calendar page if you're looking for something to do today or into this weekend. A lot of events this summer around our region. Coming up at noon today at the St. Lawrence County Historical Association, the Silas Wright House, the Red Barn in Canton. At noon, it's their brown bag lunch program. Booze, Bad Boys, and Bootleggers. Author Jim Regan will talk about his book and the research he's done on the Prohibition days in St. Lawrence County. That's at noon today. Everyone's welcome at the St. Lawrence County Historical Association in Canton.
And tomorrow, don't forget to head to the opening reception of the new exhibit at the Downtown Artist Cellar in Malone. They're hosting an exhibit featuring the works of two artists from Montreal, Holly Friesen and Peter Aitken. You can check out their oil paintings and their acrylic paintings. It's titled The Practice of the Wild and A State of Wonder. They'll be unveiled at the opening reception tomorrow, July 14th. You can find out more at downtownartistcellar.com.
Look for the big tent outside St. George Orthodox Church in South Glens Falls today, tomorrow, and Saturday. It's the Adirondack Greek Festival. There'll be food, dinners, pastries, entertainment, church tours. That's from noon to 7 today, tomorrow, and Saturday. The St. George Orthodox Church in South Glens Falls. Stop by for some great food and pastries and gyro sandwiches and entertainment. Noon to 7 today, tomorrow, and Saturday.
And there are always so many great ways to get outside, including by taking a hike. The Laurentian chapter of the Adirondack Mountain Club is hiking the Moore Trail next Saturday, July 22nd. It's a 4-mile scenic round trip along the Oswegatchie River. Families are welcome. You can contact Holly and Neil Woodworth to find out more and go to their website, adklaurentian.org. Another great way to get outside, of course, is through outdoor music. music. Communities throughout the North Country are hosting summer concert series to welcome folks to enjoy time outside and good vibes. I'm thinking of the series in Peru, also at the Norwood Village Green concert series, at the Waterhole and Saranac Lake with their parties on the patio, and at Crandall Park in Glens Falls, which is hosted by the Park Theatre. Coming up tomorrow night, they're welcoming Reese Fulmer and the Carriage House Band. This Saratoga Springs-based group is performing at the Bandshell in Crandall Park, and they're running concert series on Friday nights throughout the month of July. They go on at 7, and this is Reese Fulmer and the Carriage House Band's song, All the Summertime Sunshine.
Morning, I'll make a strong cup of coffee, and you'll watch the birds on the rocks by the seaside, and I'll play your favorite Schubert concerto, and you'll find a pear on the counter that fell from your tree. And oh, doesn't it taste like heaven? And in the afternoon we'll set a table for talking, find a word once or twice, we'll lose many more. Watching the waves, you'll try and remember my name, and I'll sit here watching the last rose you cut from the garden. And oh, doesn't it smell like heaven? And in the evening I'll light a bergamot candle, and we'll say a prayer like your mother did when you were young. And I'll leave the light on outside in the hallway, and you'll turn your head on your pillow to look at the moon. And oh, doesn't it look like heaven? In the morning I'll watch the sun as it rises. Out in the harbor the fishing boats leave like they do, and I'll hold your hand and tell you I love you, while all the summertime sunshine comes through the window. And oh, doesn't it feel like heaven? Oh, doesn't it feel like heaven?
All the Summertime Sunshine by Reese Fulmer and the Carriage House Band. This Saratoga Springs-based group is performing at the Bandshell in Crandall Park in Glens Falls tomorrow night. They go on at 7. It's part of their summer concert series. You can find out more from the Park Theatre in Glens Falls. That's it for the show for the day. Morning Edition continues in just a couple of minutes. Then stick around after the show for the Marketplace Morning Report. Coming up between 8:51 and 9 o'clock, where you'll get caught up on all the morning's business news. I'm Monica Sandreski.
I'm Todd Moe. Thanks for listening. Be well.